What a brilliant death, where he pulls his legs between... This is Mr. Wint. And then he's like, he certainly had his tails between his legs.
Yeah, which is...
And he blows up.
On that note, I think that's the only Bond joke in this movie.
Well, he's certainly left with his tails between his legs.
Here's the
You'd
irony.
think it'd be riddled with Bond
Exactly.
jokes.
Far more than that.
The irony is that this movie that is a comedy. This is the first comedy we've come across.
Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah.
Straight up.
I would not even call it an action film first. It is a comedy movie.
Straight up. I laugh. Like, okay, I said last week, if you were going to cry watching one Bond movie, it's probably going to be Secret Service. If you're going to cry laughing watching a Bond movie, it's going to be Diamonds Are Forever. And it's...
Agreed.
They just are shameless about it, and they just don't give a fuck. They just wanted to go back to, let's just entertain people. And Sean Connery's getting old, so let's not do any, he's not like young and sleek. He's old and sleek. And what do you do to compensate for the action that Bond was capable of in the past? You just straight up have him just be like an older, goofy guy who wouldn't believably beat anybody up, but they just have him cracking jokes the whole time. The Bond jokes, though, there's like Welcome to Hell, Blofeld, which isn't really a Bond joke as much as...
It's a rhyme.
Welcome to Hell, Blofeld.
Last week, I failed to mention that George Lazenby somehow pulls off what I deem the best Bond joke.
He had lots of guts.
The double meaning with he had lots of guts, that immediately elevated it right to the top of my list. And the way he says it, too, just, he had lots of guts. And she's like, oh, really? Like, it's so, that moment is so perfect that I got to give it up to Lazenby for taking the top spot of my list is now George Lazenby. Now, he's not on the top of many lists, but he's the top of mine when it comes to Bond jokes right now.
Now, Charlie, I have to challenge you on one Bond joke. You're saying this one only had maybe a couple? You missed one, I think. When he's comparing her as a blonde versus a brunette, where he says...
I tend to notice little things like that, whether a girl is a blonde or a brunette.
And which do you prefer?
Oh, providing the collars and cuffs match.
He says funny stuff constantly. What I'm saying is that for me, my list is, my definition of a Bond joke is, remember the rules. A murder has just taken place, and then it's punny or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you only have Blofeld, Welcome to Hell, or Welcome to Hell, Blofeld, and he left with his tail between his legs. The actual my definition of Bond jokes are really weak in this movie, but Bond otherwise is hilarious throughout. He has a funny line for absolutely everything going on.
I'm afraid you've caught me with more than my hands up.
Hey, what the hell is this?
Thank you very much. I was just out walking my rat and I seem to have lost my way.
And every time that he shows up in a new location, he just has some line ready to go. Again, it's like they compensated for his like not doing a bunch of crazy action, for him just being a super spy that apparently the world knows of now, that just shows up and he's like, hey, I'm the Acme inspector or whatever. He didn't try to sneak his way onto that oil rig. He just showed up like, I'm James fucking Bond, bitch. Everybody knows my name, and I'm a super spy.
Playboy card with James Bond on it.
Yeah.
It's
so self-aware.
Are there TV interviews with him or something?
And Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd had so many good one-liners in this. Like, they're back and forth.
They basically took all the Bond jokes and gave them to Wint and Kidd.
Very moving.
Heartwarming, Mr. Wint.
A glowing tribute, Mr. Kidd.
Yeah.
Wint and Kidd are essentially the evil version of Bond. Whenever Bond kills somebody and he's got some quippy line, they gave all of that to Wint and Kidd.
He got bitten by the bug.
Yeah. Bitten by the bug.
Who are you?
Dr. Tynan sent us.
Why didn't he come himself?
He was taken sick. Bitten by the bug.